What is up, guys? And before I get into the video, I'd like to thank you guys for 2,000 subscribers. Now I want to keep this part short and sweet, and I wanted to let you guys know that I started selling t-shirts. Now these are limited time t-shirts, and honestly, for the first 10 t-shirts they'll only be $10 Canadian and $8 USD. Each t-shirt sold, 50% of those profits will go to a charity of most likely a mental health charity, and the rest of the profits will obviously go to fund this channel. And if you guys haven't noticed, I got a new mic finally because of you guys watching this channel and because of you guys helping me reach a milestone. So thank you guys, and let's get into the video. For the last 23 years there's been a Call of Duty game one after the other, and one of the most unique things about Call of Duty that keeps it alive and well is obviously its multiplayer. We've seen it change, we've seen it adapt, we've seen unique ones, and we've seen a whole lot of different player bases. But what is the most unique thing about Call of Duty? Well, that's its multiplayer. And what within the multiplayer makes it special? It's game modes. Today I wanted to look back at previous Call of Duty games and see the ones that were left behind in the dust, the ones that completely vanished from COD history and will most likely never be seen again. And by the title of this video, today we'll be looking at Call of Duty's most forgotten game modes. Now, when we take a look at Call of Duty Ghosts, the controversial Call of Duty game to release in 2013, Call of Duty Ghosts released a game mode called Blitz, and Blitz was essentially a hybrid mode between capture the flag and domination, but with a twist. You didn't have to return anything to score. Instead, your goal was to physically run into the enemy's scoring portal, which then teleported you back to your own base. That portal would close for a short cooldown, approximately 10 seconds, which added rhythm to the mode, and each match had 2 rounds. Teams switched sides, and the winner was determined by the total of points scored. Now, what made Blitz so interesting was its fluidity. I mean, anyone could be the scorer at any time. It didn't rely on one designated flag carrier like we have in Capture the Flag. So it encouraged fast and team-based rotations to defend and attack constantly. You had to apply pressure constantly while also watching your own portal for sneaky players slipping through, and this just created some fast-paced objective action within Ghosts. Unfortunately, Blitz wasn't a tournament material type of game mode, so no major esports events adopted it, likely due to the just chaos of it and randomness of it. Considering Ghosts' lackluster impact on the Call of Duty franchise, I mean, Blitz didn't survive into later titles because of Ghosts, a lot of people would think, and Call of Duty pivoted back to boots on ground realism, so it remains largely a relic of the past. And honestly, a lot of people did not like this game mode, but yet again, it's just one of the forgotten game modes within Call of Duty. Now, the game mode that made me want to make this video the most is Uplink, and Uplink was basketball's in-space type of game mode. I mean, it debuted in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and returned in Black Ops 3. Now, how it worked was players would grab this ball, or so-called drone, drop in the middle of the map, then either had to dunk it by holding it and running into the objective, or throw it at the objective to get 1 point. And what was unique about Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3 was the fact that you could pass mid-air, and you could just do a lot of crazy trick shots slash tricks with it when you think about it. But why did it fade? Well, when we think about Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, and Infinite Warfare, Uplink thrived in exosuits. I mean, high mobility environments. Once COD re-embraced the realism aspect of it with World War II, Uplink's gravity-defying plays no longer made sense. Hence, it never resurfaced since then. I mean, Gridiron was introduced in Call of Duty World War II, which was essentially a reboot of Uplink, except instead of throwing a satellite drone into a futuristic goal, players had to carry and throw a leather football into the enemy's goal. And it was one of the most unique modes in World War II's rotation, but despite its potential, and Gridiron failed to gain a lasting popularity. I mean, Uplink worked in Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3 because the gameplay was fast, vertical, and futuristic. I mean, jetpacks made the passing and dunking so much more better and made sense for this type of mode. I mean, and knowing all these rotations throughout the map was so important because you could easily dodge, go through, you could jump up, and you could do so many different types of movements because you don't have your weapon out. World War II just lacked the vertical movement, side boosting, and the fluid air control. I mean, that made passing and scoring in Gridiron feel a lot more stiff, because in Uplink you could fly over defenders, run on walls for stylish plays, but in Gridiron you're often just walking into death or into a death trap because you're always hoping that your teammates cleared a path. Now this one is probably one of the most shocking ones because I honestly just discovered recently that they stopped making this mode, and I mean, I don't play the newer CODs as much. I don't really go through the list of new COD game modes because I usually just play the same ones over and over again, but Capture the Flag is something that became less frequent in recent COD releases. I mean, this could be due to many reasons, but it's one of the most iconic and long-standing multiplayer game modes in gaming of all time. Like, not just in Call of Duty, but it's been a staple of first-person shooters since Quake and Halo, and it was a big part of Call of Duty since the early days, like from COD 1 to COD 2 to Modern Warfare and beyond and future titles. And yet, despite being a fan favorite for years and even major mode in competitive play, Capture the Flag ultimately faded from mainstream COD, and it hasn't been a staple in recent titles. In many cases, it just vanished entirely. So what happened? Why did Capture the Flag fail? Or more even accurately, fade away? Well, Capture the Flag worked best in competitive settings, especially in maps like Standoff from Black Ops 2 or Capture from World War II, to just give you a few examples. In esports, it delivered legendary plays. I mean, last second returns, clutch flag stops, and stealthy runs through the entire map without the enemy team seeing you at all grabbing their thing. Now, it was a mode where teamwork mattered so much more than actually having any kills. And in the early 2010s, particularly during the Black Ops 2 and Advanced Warfare time, Capture the Flag was a core competitive mode. It was featured all the time on MLG broadcasts, Call of Duty World Championships, and even local LAN events. In fact, many considered the foundation of early Call of Duty pro playing. It encouraged diverse loadouts and actually using your utilities, meaning that people would use smokes and stuns and flashbangs even though they probably have never used to use some of these utilities before, because it was all about doing the objective and being smart and understanding and being strategic, almost like the game Counter-Strike. But of course, with the times that we have today with Call of Duty, not everyone loved it, especially casual players, surprisingly, in public lobbies. People that play the new Call of Duties nowadays and are too used to the fast pace, it was too reliant on teamwork, so solo queue environment, it didn't work, which a lot of people do now in COD because to grind camels and whatnot. It rewarded you for coordinating and just basically manipulating the entire game and having different setups. I mean, pro players developed a specialized tactics for Capture the Flag. I mean, you could have someone that is the flag rusher, someone that is relied to go and get the flags, and people responsible to eliminate other players on the other team, and then you had people that were relied on to be defenders. So you had three different positions. But why did it fail in modern COD? Well, Capture the Flag just doesn't work without communication. Kills are just basically focused upon them rather than actually playing the objective. Modes like Hardpoint, Domination, and Control offer the same objective with gunplay structure, but with less downtime and more scoring opportunities, and it's easier balancing. They reward aggression, map control, and pacing, but without the "if we lose the flag, the game's over" feeling. Now, one of my most favorite modes of all time, I would say, in Call of Duty is War Mode. Now, first introduced in World War II, it was a narrative-driven, multi-phase objective mode introduced with a bold attempt to bring a cinematic campaign-style missions to multiplayer, because each match was split into 3 to 4 connected objectives in order for you to continue on with the game. For example, for one of the maps, you had to capture a point inside of this house, meaning that you would play Hardpoint. The next, you actually had to build a bridge, meaning that you would actually have to stay on a bridge in the open and fix it in order for you to continue. Third, the objective was for you to plant a bomb, just like Search and Destroy. And then fourth was to basically escort the tank to the final objective. Each side alternated between attacking and defending. There were no kill streaks, no KD tracking, and the focus was entirely on the team-based objectives. It was immersive, it was cinematic, and it was a refreshing break from actually playing unrealistic modes in Call of Duty. I mean, War Mode felt like a mini campaign with real people. The objectives were so dynamic and told a story. In early impressions, players absolutely praised it. I mean, people thought it was just like Battlefield's Operation Mode, but tighter and more personal, and actually makes you feel like you're fighting for something. But one of its biggest downsides was the fact that it had a few issues. One of them was that there was only a few maps at launch. I mean, there was only 3 maps at release, and this led to massive burnouts because players were literally replaying the same mission over and over again. Killed the excitement and immersion of the game. And honestly, I wouldn't say there was anything bad with it. It just, because of the lack of maps coming out, especially with DLCs, and it took months for them to release a DLC, because in the OG days, COD would release 4 DLC packs per year, and that was one of the modes that would come out per pack, meaning that it only had 4 more maps added to the game throughout its entire cycle, meaning that people were just tired of playing the same old map over and over again. So it was never really designed for anything. It was only designed to have a script and do multiple objectives, and people just got tired of it. We do know that they brought it back in 2023 with the reboot of Modern Warfare 3. The second iteration of War Mode failed even faster than before. It had no hype and no player base. There was almost no promotion of War Mode. It wasn't part of the multiplayer beta, or it wasn't in any launch trailers, so it just felt hidden in the menus, and we all know how shit the UI is for Call of Duty nowadays, so most players didn't even realize it had returned. War Mode only had one map at launch, and it was just a rework of Breakout. Players just got burned down immediately, but even faster because there was only one map. Not only that they only had one map at launch, but they released a second one, but that was it. So it failed even a lot quicker because they didn't even add another one for the future, because player count was already low. They didn't see a point of actually making more maps for it. Unfortunately, we might never see this mode because of how it came back recently and how unfair the game mode was treated. Now, the mode Safeguard, introduced in Call of Duty Black Ops 3 2015, was one of the most creative twists on objective-based multiplayer that Treyarch had introduced in a while. I mean, at its core, it was a escort mission. One team guided a robot across a map while the other team tried to stop it. It blended elements from payload modes seen in Team Fortress 2 and Overwatch. I mean, it returned briefly in Black Ops 4, but by then, the impact had already faded, and since then, Safeguard has completely been abandoned from any modern game titles ever since. Why did Safeguard fail to survive beyond 2 games, despite having potential? Now, Safeguard was a round-based mode where one team had to escort a slow-moving robot from their spawn to the enemy base, and players had to stand near it in order to activate movement, and the opposing team's job was to damage it or delay the robot to stop it from progressing. And after a round ended, teams would switch sides, and it brought just something new to COD's objective pool. I mean, a moving objective that shifted the flow of the entire match, a need for group positioning rather than just solo play, and defensive coordination to set up traps or slow progression for the team to not make it to your base. The mode benefited from Treyarch's movement system. Traversal made the robot escort's dynamic a little bit more unpredictable than what it would have been if it was boots on the ground. When it dropped, Safeguard got mixed but curious reactions. Casual players liked the novelty. I mean, escort mechanics were something a COD had never really seen before. I mean, someone on Reddit said Safeguard feels like Overwatch payload but with more kills. It's fun chaos when people actually play the objective, and people even said that it was great for XP farming and wild kill streaks. Now, someone had summed it up pretty nicely that Safeguard would be cool if there was just more than one route. I mean, if the robot didn't follow the same script every time, it would just be something a little bit more different and a little bit more unique. If they gave the robot a little bit more life to it, other just rinse and repeat same route. I mean, without the endorsement of competitive scene, the content creation around Safeguard just dropped, and so did the player interest over time. Lack of map variety or alternative routes made it still very quickly. I mean, like many team focused modes in COD, Safeguard did not work well without coordination. I mean, if teammates ignored the robot, the match turned into a TDM. Solo players would find themselves escorting alone while teammates just farm kills elsewhere. A camel grinding lobby. I mean, the slow tanky robot became a literal bait bot, drawing enemy fire and creating free flanks. I mean, this encouraged selfish plays, and matches were filled with players just trying to farm instead of escorting. Now, Safeguard briefly came into Black Ops 4, but it was immediately pulled from the core playlist. It was just tossed in the featured list, and because I guess of the movement and game mode was just not worth playing because it worked better in Black Ops 3, so they pulled it. But regardless, it was a cool experience that felt like it belonged in a different game. Mentioned before, like Overwatch, where roles and team comp mattered and escort thrives. In Call of Duty, where solo playing is basically the main point nowadays, Safeguard just felt out of place. I mean, even fans who liked it admit that it was fun, but it was never an essential mode. But Safeguard was one of those Call of Duty modes that just came out swinging with a cool idea, a fresh twist, and some epic robot pushing battle. Do you think it deserves a comeback, or was it one of those one-hit wonder modes that should just stay in the past? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this 2,000 subscriber special video. I mean, I had a lot of other modes I wanted to talk about, but I had to cut because this video would be way too long. So if you guys want to see more of this series, then please leave a like and let me know down below. But either way, it's been Fellow, and just remember to stay smart.